Day 94, read the Bible in a year. Judges 13, 14, and 15. Judges 13. The children of Israel, again, did what was evil in the Lord's sight. And the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. There was a certain man of Zorah from the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and childless. The Lord's angel appeared to the woman and said to her, "See now, you are barren and childless, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Now therefore, please beware and drink no wine or strong drink, and don't eat any unclean thing, for you shall conceive and give birth to a son. No razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazirite to God from the womb. He shall begin to save Israel out of the hand of the Philistines." Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, "A man of God came to me, and his face was like the face of the angel of God, very awesome. I didn't ask him where he was from, neither did he tell me his name, but he said to me, 'You shall conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine, nor strong drink. Don't eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazirite to God from the womb to the day of his death.' Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, 'O Lord, please let the man of God whom you sent come again to us and teach us what we should do to the child who shall be born.' God listened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of the Lord came again to the woman as she sat in the field, but Manoah, her husband, wasn't with her. The woman hurried and ran and told her husband, saying to him, 'The man who came to me that day has appeared to me.' Manoah arose and followed his wife and came to the man and said to him, 'Are you the man who spoke to my wife?' He said, 'I am.' Manoah said, 'Now let your words happen. What shall the child's way of life and mission be?' The Lord's angel said to Manoah, 'Of all that I said to the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that comes from the vine, or drink wine or strong drink, or eat any unclean thing. Let her observe all that I commanded her.' Manoah said to the Lord's angel, 'Please stay with us, that we may make a young goat ready for you.' The Lord's angel said to Manoah, 'Though you detain me, I won't eat your bread. If you will prepare a burnt offering, you must offer it to the Lord.' For Manoah didn't know that he was the Lord's angel. Manoah said to the Lord's angel, 'What is your name? That when your words happen, we may honor you.' The Lord's angel said to him, 'Why do you ask me my name, since it is incomprehensible?' So Manoah took the young goat with the meal offering and offered it on the rock to the Lord. Then the angel did an amazing thing as Manoah and his wife watched. For when the flame went up towards the sky from off the altar, the Lord's angel ascended in the flame of the altar. Manoah and his wife watched, and they fell on their faces to the ground. But the Lord's angel didn't appear to Manoah or to his wife again. Then Manoah knew that he was the Lord's angel. Manoah said to his wife, 'We shall surely die, because we've seen God.' But his wife said to him, 'If the Lord were pleased to kill us, he wouldn't have received a burnt offering and a meal offering at our hand, and he wouldn't have shown us all these things, nor would he have told us the things at this time.' The woman bore a son and named him Samson. The child grew, and the Lord blessed him. The Lord's Spirit began to move him in Mahanan Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Judges chapter 14. Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. He came up and told his father and his mother, saying, 'I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now get her for me as my wife.' Then his father and his mother said to him, 'Isn't there a woman among your brother's daughters or among all my people, that you may go and take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines?' Samson said to his father, 'Get her for me. She pleases me well.' But his father and his mother didn't know that it was of the Lord, for he sought an occasion against the Philistines. Now at that time the Philistines ruled over Israel. Then Samson went down to Timnah with his father and his mother, and came to the vineyards of Timnah. And a young lion roared at them. The Lord's Spirit mightily came on him, and he tore him as he would have torn a young goat with his bare hands. But he didn't tell his father or mother what he had done. He went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. After a while, he returned to take her, and he went over to see the carcass of the lion. And there was a swarm of bees in the body of the lion, and honey. He took it into his hands and went on, eating as he went. He came to his father and mother and gave it to them, and they ate. But he didn't tell them that he had taken the honey out of the lion's body. His father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, for the young men used to do so. When they saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with him. Samson said to them, "Let me tell you a riddle. If you can tell me the answer within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. But if you can't tell me the answer, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing." They said to him, "Tell us your riddle, that we may hear it." He said to them, "Out of the eater came out food. Out of the strong came out sweetness." They couldn't in 3 days declare the riddle. On the 7th day they said to Samson's wife, "Entice your husband, that he may declare to us the riddle, lest we burn you and your father's house with fire. Have you called us to impoverish us? Isn't that so?" Samson's wife wept before him and said, You just hate me. You don't love me. You've told a riddle to the children of my people and haven't told it to me." He said to her, "Behold, I haven't told my father or my mother, so why should I tell you?" She wept before him the 7 days while the feast lasted, and on the 7th day he told her, because she pressed him severely. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. The men of the city said to him on the 7th day, before the sun went down, "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than the lion?" He said to them, "If you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have found out my riddle." The Lord's Spirit came mightily on him, and he went down to Ashkelon and struck 30 men of them. He took their plunder. He gave the changes of clothing to those who declared the riddle. His anger burnt, and he went up to his father's house. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, who had been his friend.
Judges 15. But after a while, in the time of wheat harvest, Samson visited his wife with the young goat. He said, "I will go into my wife's room." But her father wouldn't allow him to go in. Her father said, "I most certainly thought that you utterly hated her. Therefore, I gave her to your companion. Isn't her younger sister more beautiful than she? Please take her instead." Samson said to them, "This time I will be blameless in the case of the Philistines when I harm them." Samson went and caught 300 foxes and took torches and turned tail to tail and put a torch in the middle between every 2 tails. When he set the torches on fire, he let them go into the standing grain of the Philistines and burned up both the shocks and the standing grain and also the olive groves. Then the Philistines said, "Who has done this?" They said, "Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he has taken his wife and given her to his companion." The Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. Samson said to them, "If you behave like this, I will take revenge on you, and after that, I will cease." He struck them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. And he went down and lived in the cave in Edom's rock. Then the Philistines went up and camped in Judah and spread themselves in Lehi. The men of Judah said, "Why have you come up against us?" They said, "We have come up to bind Samson, to do to him as he has done to us." Then 3,000 men of Judah went down to the cave of Edom's rock and said to Samson, "Don't you know that the Philistines are rulers over us? What then is this that you've done to us?" He said to them, "As they did to me, so I have done to them." They said to him, We have come down to bind you, that we may deliver you into the hands of the Philistines." Samson said to them, "Swear to me that you will not attack me yourselves." They spoke to him, saying, "No, but we will bind you securely and deliver you into their hands. But surely we will not kill you." They bound him with 2 new ropes and brought him up from the rock. When he came to Lehi, the Philistines shouted as they met him. Then the Lord's Spirit came mightily on him, and the ropes that were on his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands dropped from off his hands. He found a fresh jawbone of a donkey, put out his hand, took it, and struck 1,000 men with it. Samson said, "With the jawbone of a donkey, heaps on heaps, with the jawbone of a donkey, I have struck 1,000 men." When he finished speaking, he threw the jawbone out of his hand, and that place was called Ramath Lehi. He was very thirsty, and called on the Lord and said, "You have given this great deliverance by the hand of your servant. And now shall I die of thirst and fall into the hands of the uncircumcised?" But God split the hollow place that is in Lehi, and water came out of it. When he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived. Therefore its name is called En Hakkore, which is in Lehi to this day. He judged Israel 20 years in the day of the Philistines.
Well, so this is the last of the judges that we're going to read about. You know, Samson is kind of the closest image we have to a superhero in the Christian faith, but he's not really acting like a superhero here, is he? He's kind of off track a little bit from what is right.
Yeah, when I grew up learning about Samson, I grew up learning about this powerful man who was deceived by a number of wives, and who, in the end, was able to kill a lot of the Philistines. And now that I'm older, I see it a lot differently. I see him as somebody who God knew was going to be a bit reckless, a reckless man that he was choosing to use in order to take over the Philistines. He knew what the character of Samson was going to be like.
Yeah, true. I think one of the most alarming things in reading this story is how he took it upon himself to get the revenge. And every time there was a misjustice or an injustice done against Samson or against the Philistines, each time the response was greater and more severe, and people died, rather than people like Samson or the Philistines trusting in God. If God is in control, he's just, he's patient, and he works things out. But when we take things into our hands, the injustice can become even greater and more severe.
We've all been given talents, and we can use them for good or for bad. And at this point in the story, we see that he's just out of control. He's been given this incredible talent, and he has a temper and a lack of self-control in many ways. For women, when it comes to his anger, revenge, and he's basically just not even trusting God. It's not like he is praying to God each time, and God, what should I do? He just does whatever he wants to, and has used his God-given talents for himself. And as a result, he's just bringing a lot of pain onto his fellow Israelites. They come to get him, like, hey, we're under these people. You're making life difficult for us.
Yeah, it's true. And the idea of a Nazirite is someone who is set apart for the gift of God, to honor God. And we see, just the little glimpses of the stories here, how he even wasn't serious about the Nazirite vow. It's amazing to read about him killing the lion, but him taking the honey out of the dead body is completely against the Nazirite vow. You're not supposed to touch dead carcasses. You're supposed to stay away from it. So he had this gift from God, but he wasn't honoring God with it.
And we just see, like you said, it just kept getting worse and worse. He was just out of control. He kind of had this attitude like, I can do what I want. Look at, I'm strong. I'm the strong man. I can take whoever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can kill whoever I want. Yeah, they just did this to me. Look what I'm going to do to them in revenge.
Yeah.
And so his revenge really was, it was not equal to what had happened to him. He was far more revengeful than
Yes.
what was done to him, when he was, acting out of his anger and out of his, I guess, his ego as well.
Sure. Sure. Well, I guess we'll finish the story tomorrow and find out what happens.
Great.
See you again tomorrow.